Good afternoon, and thanks for coming out to this event. My name is John Valleco. I'm with Gun Owners of America. We're based in Springfield, Virginia. We're a grassroots lobbying organization with over 350,000 members nationwide. And we're here today, I'm here today to talk about Steve Southerland for Congress. President Obama last week said at a campaign stop that this election, in this case, is not about the choice between two individuals, but it's about the choice between two competing ideas of what the future of America should look like. And that might be the first time I agree with President Obama in 4 years, but the same thing is true here in this election in Northwest Florida. We have two competing ideas of what government should look like and what America should look like in the future. One of those ideas is of more government control over every aspect of our lives, including our guns, at the expense of our freedom. And another vision that was charted by our founding fathers of more freedom and liberty and the protection of your individual rights. One of the things I want to mention, I want us to think about today is how things would have been different if people like Steve Southerland hadn't run for Congress and won in 2010. Well, for one thing, there would have been no congressional investigation of the Fast and Furious operation. All we would have heard for the past 2 years is how 90% of the guns going to Mexico came from gun stores and gun shows, and how we need to reinstate the Clinton gun ban, and how we need to close down gun shows. And if Nancy Pelosi were still Speaker of the House, those issues would have would have come to the floor for a vote. But instead of more gun control passing, what we had is the Attorney General of the United States being held in contempt of Congress for lying and misleading Congress and withholding documents from Congress in a vote that was supported by Steve Southerland. Now, would his opponent have voted to hold the Obama administration and the Justice Department accountable for their actions? Well, not one Democrat did. In fact, a lot of them walked out of the chamber during that vote. There are a lot of policy differences that we could talk about between Steve and his opponent. But the bottom line is that Steve Southerland trusts you with your freedom, with your liberty, with your gun rights. When his opponent had a chance to defend the Second Amendment, he wilted like a flower. He wouldn't stand up for your gun rights. Steve Southerland understands that the Constitution and the Bill of Rights are documents that limit the power of the government. They don't limit you. Steve Southerland understands that those documents protect rights that you already possessed even before they were written. That those are your rights. He agrees, in the words of John Dickinson, who was a signer of the Constitution and attended the Constitutional Convention, that our unalienable rights are those rights given to us by God and which no inferior power has the right to take away. So in this election, the message from Gun Owners of America is vote for freedom, vote to protect the Second Amendment, and vote for Steve Southerland. And with that, it's my great pleasure and honor to introduce to you your Congressman, Steve Southerland.
Thank you so much. It is, boy, it's great to be home. Great to be at another gun show. I've been to many here at our facilities here at the fairgrounds. I want to say to Gun Owners of America, John, thank you for what you do. Thank you that you're a wonderful organization, grassroots, out there representing men and women all over this country who understand how critical it is to protect our Second Amendment rights. And so I want to make sure that all of you know about Gun Owners of America. I know that they've been incredibly supportive of me. They were in our first campaign, and now they are in our re-election. And so if you're not familiar with Gun Owners of America, please do yourself a favor and do the Second Amendment right a favor by going and checking out what John's organization does, a wonderful organization. So, John, thank you very much for your support and everything you mean to protecting those rights. As John mentioned a few minutes ago, that nothing is more germane than our inalienable rights. And we understand that they're inalienable because, as John stated, they weren't given to us by government. They were given to us by God. The moment that He created us, He also created inside of us those rights. Now, our founding fathers understood that it's imperative that we have a government that recognizes those rights. And it was amazing after the First Amendment and freedom of speech and freedom to assemble that they made sure that the Second Amendment, the right to bear arms, is paramount to a free people. If you look down through history and you look at where tyranny starts to lift its head and pave the way to Marxism and communism, if you look, they attack the rights of people to bear arms. And they take away from the people that God-given right. And then tyranny is ushered in. And so I want to thank all of you that are here today, because you're probably not here if you don't believe, perhaps with the exception of the Democratic Party of Florida, over here videoing me as they have since March, or May, excuse me. They're the ones that want to take away those rights. Okay? And so we're here today, along with you, to celebrate those God-given rights, and also to go in here and learn and shop and really enjoy that right that God gave us. So I want to say to all of you, thank you very much. I need your support. As you know, Nancy Pelosi and Debbie Wasserman Schultz and Harry Reid, they're sending money into this district like never before. Unlike my first campaign, because my first campaign, I ran against a man who had money. Unfortunately, in this race, fortunately or unfortunately, depending on how you look at it, my opponent has done very little to raise money, so therefore this has got to be a seat. If the Democrats win, it's got to be a seat that they buy from D.C. And so when coming in here with all of their money, tens of thousands, millions of dollars, in order to do that, they don't like me. That is proof they don't like me, because I'm doing what I promised I would do. I would go up and I would fight to secure our God-given rights. Not the rights that the government gives us. No. The government is set to serve us. The consent of the governed, our founding fathers talked about. So I'm running and serving to make sure that those God-given rights are protected. And as a hunter, as a concealed weapon permit holder, as one who loves the woods, grew up with my father and my siblings, we understand that that is a right that is paramount to our freedoms. Now, I will say this in my closing comments. The President has been very clear. The Secretary of State has been very clear. Members in the Democratic members of the Senate have been very clear. They are licking their chops to approve the Small Arms Treaty. Now, you hear me? They are licking their chops. Okay? Now, treaties, little civics, treaties are not heard by the House. Treaties are heard by the Senate. So I'm running for the House. But I raised that issue because we got a pretty important Senate race here in the state of Florida. And we've got Senate races around the country. And there are candidates that represent freedom, that understand how important the Second Amendment right is. And John, you know those races. You know how critical those Senate races are around the country. Because if they get by November the 6th, and we don't win the Senate, and we don't win the White House, I promise you will see the United States Senate take up the Small Arms Treaty, and they want to transfer our sovereignty to that of the United Nations. That is heresy. And I will fight that. But in the House of Representatives, again, we will not hear that. That will be heard in the Senate. So we need everybody to do what they can to make sure that, that we work hard to ensure that there are individuals representing you and people that are fighting for our Second Amendment rights, not just in the House of Representatives, but also in the Senate, and of course in the White House as well. The President, his stance on Second Amendment rights are very clear. So is my opponent. Okay, my opponent. He has aligned himself identically with the President. When asked a couple weeks ago, when Senator Lawson was asked and given an opportunity, okay, in a radio debate, Senator, identify one thing that you disagree with from the president. He could not identify one policy issue at all. You know what he said? He said, well, the president, I disagreed with the way they messaged the health care bill. But he didn't disagree with the health care bill. He said that he disagreed with the messaging. But he could not give one example to one policy position, not one bill. He didn't say, I disagreed with Dodd-Frank that's crushing our community banks. He didn't say, I disagree with the president with cap and trade, which will raise all of our health care bills. He didn't say, I disagree with the president on the small arms treaty. He's okay, I guess, then, with transferring our sovereignty of our Second Amendment rights to the United Nations. Not one chance. So here's what I do. I would like to ask Senator Lawson, since you couldn't do this weeks ago, you could not identify one policy position where you differed from Barack Obama. You've had a couple weeks to think about it. Please, tell us. We've got a week left. We'd like to know one thing, before you keep preaching to us, the people, about bipartisan efforts. Preach to it. Tell us one thing. Well, we know on the Second Amendment rights he believes with Barack Obama. And they will come and they will restrict our God-given rights to bear arms. And I tell you something, as long as I am privileged to serve the men and women of Florida's 2nd Congressional District, my promise to you, my promise to the Florida Democratic Party, my promise to all of my opponents in D.C., I will fight you, I will fight you, I will fight you. You will not, with me sitting idly by, you will not pass your agenda to transfer our sovereignty to the UN and strip us of those God-given rights. So I want to thank John. I want to thank the Gun Owners of America. Please check them out. Go to their website. Follow what they do. You got great organizations representing you in Washington, D.C. that are fighting to make sure that individuals like me, individuals like Marco Rubio, individuals like Connie Mack, that we are there and let me say this, individuals like Mitt Romney, individuals like Paul Ryan, who's an avid hunter, man, loves to hunt. And so we've got to make sure that we all are re-elected to represent you going forward. So, John, thank you for being here. You came all the way in from Baltimore to be with us today. Let's make sure that he understands. We're going to roll out the welcome mat for him. Make sure that Gun Owners of America feels that they're welcome here. Thank you for coming to the gun show, too. This is something we enjoy here every year, a couple times a year, actually. And so we're going to go in and we're going to look at the show and meet people and greet them. Thanks to each and every one of you for being here today. Thank you for doing your part to preserve the blanket of freedom for our generation, the next generation. That is our responsibility. God bless you. Thank you. And may God continue to bless the United States of America. Thank you.